Hi everyone. So in my previous video, I discussed about the introduction of vectors and the two methods that we use to find the resultant of vector. Now in this video, I will discuss some more examples of using the two methods of finding the resultant of vector. I have one example over here which says find the sum of the vectors using both the methods, the triangle method and the parallelogram method. Now, if we go back to my previous video, I told you that we can find the sum of any two vectors using these two methods. Now, how are we going to use the first method to find the sum of vector A and B? If you look at the vector A and vector B, and if I join these two ends of the vectors together like this, A and B, then I join the third side of the triangle. So this becomes a triangle, and direction of the third side will be the opposite of A and B. So if A and B are going in the clockwise direction, the resultant will be in the opposite direction. So my resultant will be the third side of the triangle, and the value of resultant will be A plus B. This was my first method, which is triangle method. Now, I will find the answer to the same question using parallelogram method. Okay, if I want to use parallelogram method, I will join this end of B to this end of A. Let's see. This is my A, and I join this end of B to the other end of A. So this becomes my B. Now, like the name says, it's a parallelogram method. So I will make a parallelogram first. Now, the diagonal of this parallelogram will give you the resultant of A and B. Okay. So this was my first example in which you have to find the sum of the vectors. Sum of the vector means finding the resultant of vector. And we have two methods, triangle and parallelogram. I showed you how to use these two methods to find the sum of A and B. Let's move to the next question. Okay, let's start with the second example. See, in the second example, I have two triangles over here, and using the resultant of vectors, I have to find from the first triangle, I have to find AB minus AC is equal to how much? And from the second triangle, I have to find PQ minus PR. PQ minus PR is equal to how much? Okay. Now, like you can see, this is a triangle. So I will use the triangle method. Let's start. Look at the first triangle. This is my first triangle. This is A, B and C. Okay. Now, using the triangle method, the resultant is the sum of any two sides which are going in the same direction. So from this diagram, you can see which two sides are going in the same direction, which two vectors. We have three vectors, AC, CB and AB. Okay. So, if I go in the clockwise direction, I can see that my AC and CB, they are going in the same direction, and my AB is going in the opposite direction. So, the side that goes in the opposite direction is the resultant. And what is the resultant equal to? Resultant vector AB is equal to the sum of the other two vectors, which is AC plus CB. Now, go back to the question. The question is, find the value of vector AB minus vector AC. So I have AB and I have AC. Rearrange. If I take my AC to the other side, I will get AB minus AC is equal to CB. So this is my answer. The question was find the value of AB minus AC. So my AB minus AC is equal to CB. So this is the first answer. Similarly, I can solve the second triangle and find the value of PQ minus PR. Let's draw the second triangle again. This is my second part. P, Q and R. Right? Now, again, look at any two sides that are going in the same direction. If you see this carefully, you will see that my QP and PR, they are going in the same direction, clockwise direction. And QR is going in the opposite direction. That means QR is my resultant. So the resultant vector QR is equal to sum of the other two vectors, which is QP plus PR. Now, in the question, I have PQ minus PR, right? See, if this is my PQ, okay, and suppose this is my PQ, and I want to write what is QP equal to. See, PQ and QP both are equal. The only difference is the direction. PQ is from P to Q. QP is from Q to P. That means PQ and QP both are same. The only difference is the direction. So that means PQ is equal to minus QP, or you can say QP is equal to minus PQ. Now come back to the question. In my question, I have PQ. So I will replace my QP with PQ. So I can write QP is equal to minus PQ plus PR. Right? Now take minus common outside. I will get PQ minus PR inside is equal to QR. Now my question asks find PQ minus PR. So I don't want this negative sign. I will move this negative sign to the other side. I will get minus QR is equal to PQ minus PR. So my PQ minus PR as asked in the question is equal to minus QR, or I can say is equal to positive RQ, because QR and RQ are equal, only the difference is the direction. So this will be my answer. So PQ minus PR is equal to RQ. So that is the answer to my second question. In my previous video, I told you about addition of vectors. Now, the next operation will be subtraction of vectors. How are we going to subtract two vectors? Suppose the question is AB minus CD. Okay, you have to subtract these two vectors. Now, I can write this minus sign as plus minus CD. Okay. That means I am going to use the same method I used for addition of two vectors, which was triangle method and parallelogram method. I will use those same method to subtract my two vectors by changing minus to plus. Okay. So this will become AB plus minus CD. Minus CD means DC. Okay. So like this, I can change my negative sign to positive sign, and then I will find the resultant of these two vectors. Let's try some examples. Now the next question is subtract vector B from vector A. When I say subtract B from A, that means you have to find A minus B. Okay, subtract B from A. That means you have to find A minus B. Now, can I write this as A plus minus B? Right? If I want to change minus, subtraction to plus, can I write minus as plus minus B? Yes. So, that means you have to find the resultant of vector A and resultant of minus B. Okay. So, A will remain as it is. If this is my B, what will be minus B? See, B is going in the downward direction. That means minus B will be same as B, of same magnitude. The only difference will be the direction. So, if B is going down, minus B will go up. Now, next step is to find the resultant of A and negative B. Okay. So, how do you find the resultant of A and negative B? I have two vectors. So, if I use triangle method, let's use triangle method. If I use triangle method, I will join A and B together. So, suppose I join this end of B to this end of A. Okay. See, this is my B, this end to this end. It will be like this. Okay. This end and this end joined together. So, I move this and place it over here like this. Now, this is A, this is minus B. Resultant will always be the third side. Third side going in the opposite direction. So, if this is the direction of A and negative B, direction of the resultant vector will be upward. Okay. And what will be the value of resultant vector? A plus negative B. A plus negative B, which is A minus B. So, this is how you subtract any two vectors using resultant. Okay. So, we will use plus, we will use addition to subtract two vectors. We will use the same method, triangle and parallelogram method, using the subtraction of two vectors. Okay. In my new example, three vectors are given. Vector A is 2 and minus 5. Vector B is minus 16 and 7. Vector C is 8 and minus 2. I have to find the magnitude of vector A, B and C. Okay. How do I know that I have to find the magnitude? Because of the mod sign. Mod sign always means that you have to find the magnitude. So, what is the formula to find the magnitude? The formula is square root of the first coordinate. Square root of the square of the first coordinate plus the square of the second coordinate. Okay. Similarly, magnitude of B will be square root of the square of the first coordinate plus square of the second coordinate. And magnitude of vector C will be square root of the square of the first coordinate plus the square of the second coordinate. Simplify this, it will be 4, 25, root 29. This will be 16 square is 256 plus 49, which will be root 305. Next is 8 square, 64 plus 4, root 68. So, like this, I can find the magnitude of any vector if the coordinates of the vector are given. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. If you want me to explain some more topics, please comment in the comment box.